Hello everybody, I hope you're ready for yet another chill Nebula grinding session. Today we actually don't have too much to do because I'm just going to be finishing up the Compact 92 here. I already got all of the critical kills done. At this point I just need to get 300 eliminations with the Compact 92 at rare, rarity, or higher, as well as 300 point blank kills. As you can see, I did get started on that, but obviously once I complete that, then we'll be on to the Mystic Gold challenges, and after that, I'm basically done with the SMGs. I just gotta, I still gotta do the PP919 and the Tanto 22, but I'll easily be able to complete that in a matter of like 3 matches later today, and then I'll be able to grinding out the Opal camos for those. I'm actually also almost finished grinding out the Opal camos for the ARs, just got like 2 or 3 more to do over here, so that's pretty cool. I should already have my first diamond badge for the ARs, but the AK-74, man, even though I already got Opal camo for it, I got Mystic Gold and everything for it, you know, I won't have to touch this thing again until I go to do Afterlife camo, but there's a part of me that kind of wants to dive into a badge and just use it for a little bit just so I get that diamond badge, but I'm just gonna hold off. I won't let my OCD get the best of me. I have other camos to grind out at the moment. I'll end up getting the, not only gold badge for that, but also diamond badges for ARs as a whole once I unlock Afterlife camo. But anyways, y'all know the drill. Sit back, relax, get cozy. We're about to grind some camos. Do the usual rigmarole here, get the Rampage Inducer going. I finally ended up maxing out my Compact 92, which means I do have recoil springs at long last. This thing isn't necessarily unusable without them, but it definitely helps. Oh, especially over in multiplayer, because like, you know, it's a really good weapon if you're up close, which that's really the only scenario in which you'd want to use this weapon, especially in multiplayer, just because of how much it kicks. But the recoil springs, even though compared to using recoil springs on almost any other weapon in the game, it gives you a pretty minor boost to your vertical recoil control and all that, because again, for most recoil springs in the game, it's going to give you 2 notches, whereas for the Compact 92, it only gives you 1 notch, but it still helps quite a bit. I've also been intermittently working on the baseball bat. It's just one of those things where like anytime I have an insta-kill or when it's like early in the rounds and I'm out of ammo in my main weapon, I'll just switch to the baseball bat for a little bit. I figure with the melee weapons, it would be better to do those intermittently, similarly to the LR 7.62 as well as the GS45, since those are the only 2 weapons in the game where when you pack-a-punch them, they become explosive, which means it's not impossible to get critical kills with them, but it would be a much slower process, so I'd rather just sort of do those intermittently as I'm doing other weapons just to keep a nice steady pace of progression. You may be wondering why I'm not doing the point blanks yet, and that's because I have the Rampage Inducer on, and I'm sorry, but doing point blanks with the Rampage Inducer on is a terrible idea, so we'll do those at the same time as we do the rare or higher challenge, since, you know, those require the same amount of kills, so we'll easily be able to knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. Just like that, it's round 5, which y'all know the drill, means it's time to turn off the Rampage Inducer. Whether it's a vermin round or a zombie round, I always just end up turning it off in this round, just because that's when it's not necessarily too hectic, but it is a bit like, alright, you know what, let's just slow things back down here. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily. Fun fact about me, I never knew the rest of the lyrics to this song. Vermin round complete, and now, since I am rocking frag grenades, since I just prestiged a little bit ago, because I am going for the diamond badge, I'm going for the dark matter badges in both multiplayer and zombies. Well, I guess over in zombies, it's probably what? It's probably a nebula badge? Maybe it's still a dark matter badge, I'm not sure. I know for multiplayer, it's a dark matter badge. At least that's what I've heard. I've never actually seen it with my own eyes yet. That's just what the comment section told me, so hopefully that's actually true. But I've been going for all the other lethals in the game. I threw it way too late. But you know, I've been going through using all the lethals and tacticals as I can, just trying to get those badges done. Alright, the one thinking of Shadows of Evil here. The one crystal just dropped an impact grenade, so let's see, maybe I hit it this time. Just aim true, aim high, jump and throw it! Yes! Okay, we got it. So now I'm just waiting for the one to drop the green ether tool. We're also going to start working on some of these point blanks here. I mean, did a lot of damage. LDBR, that is one of the score streaks I need to work on yet. I already finished up the chopper gunner and mutant injections, obviously, so now I'm working on a lot of the other score streaks and zombies. I also started working on the sentry gun, made quite a good bit of progress with that. I actually found a really decent, I mean, I don't know if it's actually like a good high round strategy, but I found a good strategy for me, just like when you're out of ammo and you're going for camo challenges and you're like trying to multitask, setting up a sentry gun there in the bowling alley while you have like the water valve on the thing so the zombie spawns are sped up, dude, you fly through the rounds like it's nothing, especially if you have like multiple sentry guns set up. Oh yeah. Anyways, we now have enough to not only get the Compact 92 up to a rare rarity, but we can also grab Napalm Burst, so then when we get Manglers and Abominations and such, then we can make quick work of them. Speaking of sentry turrets, yeah, I'll go with the sentry turret for now. And we're also gonna go ahead and pack a punch and then make our way over to the strategy. I love how in these videos I never just say, oh, let's go to the bowling alley, let's go to the training spot. No, I always just say, let's go to the strategy. Y'all remember One Direction? What the heck ever happened to those guys? All I know is one day I kept hearing that one song on the radio, the "You Don't Know You're Beautiful," and then like one day it's just I just never heard from them again. There was lots of groups and like especially from like the early to like mid 2010s in there, because like after the mid 2010s, once you got to late 2010s, that's when you started having all those cringe SoundCloud rappers coming out. Oh god. But you had some like genuinely decent like pop songs coming out in like the early to mid 2010s from a lot of those stars. Some of them went on to be big names, you know, you got your Katy Perry's and all that, which that wasn't necessarily just 2010s. Obviously, you know, she technically got started in like the 2000s. Same with like other ones like Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez and all that. That was just more one of those things where like they got started, they had some big songs come out during the 2000s, and then during the 2010s there was just like a even bigger pop boom. Like there was a pop boom during the 2000s, but then like once the 2010s hit, it was just like pop everywhere to like a whole other level. It's funny because when I say like 2010, like for me it feels like it was just yesterday, but yeah, dude, that was like almost 15 years ago now. That goes for the 2000s in general too, you know. It's like, oh yeah, man, a lot of great movies and games are coming out in like 2005 and 2006. I remember those times so fondly. It's like, dog, even though it feels like it was not that long ago, that was almost 20 years ago, and just saying that out loud, like, I can't even say it with a straight face, man. That is insane. It's just crazy, man, because obviously, like, back in the day, you know, like, 2005, that's when YouTube came out, but it wasn't until, like, later in the 2000s, like, I want to say in the range of, like, 2007, 2010, to where YouTube, like, finally started blowing up, especially, like, 2008. I remember 2008 was, like, a huge year for YouTube. That's when I went from just passively watching YouTube to genuinely finding some of my favorite creators and watching the platform all the time, and that was the year when I decided, like, yeah, I really want to be a YouTuber, and I actually kind of did for a bit. So like my first YouTube videos I made were like some goofy videos I made with my cousin back in 2009. After that, that was kind of it for a while until like oh goodness, what year would that have been? Sometime in the 2010s, I ended up making like my own first official channel, and my first video was like a split screen gameplay with me and my one friend. We were having a sleepover on Modern Warfare 3 Survival, the original Modern Warfare 3, obviously. Survival on the map, the Underground. I remember we were doing the one strategy that we always did, because back then, right, you know, nowadays, when it comes to like strategies and stuff in Call of Duty, everybody's like, oh man, you got to do this meta strategy that everybody in YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and, you know, just YouTubers in general are doing. You know, you got to min-max your time and do this, that, or the other. But back then, man, you know, not even just with Call of Duty, but just video games in general, like, sure, you had some of those strategies that, you know, like, everybody knew about, or, you know, it was everywhere online in the gaming magazines. It was like, all right, you know, this is the strategy that you do for this in this game, or there's like certain techniques or cheat codes you can do. Like everybody knew about the catwalk in Durice and the stage in Kino, but then there was other things, sort of like MW3 Survival, where it's like, all right, you know, you just could sort of create your own strategy there. And me and my buddy, we used to have this thing where there's this counter right next to the little store there where you can like buy and upgrade your weapons. We'd set up a bunch of sentry guns. We put one in the little opening between that counter and the staircase. We put a sentry gun there, put a sentry gun also to our left at that doorway that's like right there where enemies can also come through. You put a sentry gun there, and then one of us would be posted up with an LMG watching the front side, and then one of us would also have like, you know, the other person would have either like an LMG or SMG or shotgun or something, just something really good for close quarters engagements. And they'd be flip-flopping back and forth between obviously helping the guy watching like the main counter, since there's a lot more enemies coming that way, but also like checking a bit behind there just to make sure nobody else was coming through and either breaking that sentry gun or actually like, getting through and about to kill us. We had like a bunch of explosives and claymores and stuff set up. It was absolutely crazy. It's unfortunate because those videos have since been deleted, but man, if I could like find the Wayback Machine, because I remember the channel's name. The videos were only up for a number of days too, so I would have to remember like the very specific time frame that they were uploaded in. But if I could ever find those, like, I would genuinely be willing to share those with you guys on this channel, because that, I mean, that was like my first YouTube channel when I finally went all in and did it. And then I remember the one other video I made, I recorded it off of my iPod Touch, but basically it was like a gameplay off of my grandmother's computer, which at the time, you know, obviously iPod Touches were, you know, I forget what year it would have been exactly, but obviously it was like after this OS would have actually been relevant, but her computer was still running Windows XP, even though like Windows 7 and all that would have been out at the time. So let me just say, man, Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 7, especially XP and Vista. I mean, I still have nostalgia for 7 because that was still like at an earlier point in my life, but like XP and Vista, man. Those were like the first two OSs I grew up on. It went XP and then Vista. So many legendary games on there, man. The Space Cadet Pinball. Oh, don't even get me started. My grandma had some banging games on that computer, man. Yeah, the Space Cadet Pinball, like I just mentioned, Spider Solitaire, Minesweeper. Dude, I could play that stuff for days, ages. You couldn't pull me away from that computer, dude. And then there was this one site I used to always play on. It was a little bit later on. It definitely wasn't back during, like, you know, like the Windows XP days. It was around a little bit later when browser games started blowing up, sometime in the 2010s, maybe. I don't know if it's even still around anymore, but it was called Mo Fun Zone, and they had so many cool games on there. Again, I can't remember the exact year. I want to say it was sometime in the early 2010s, but I remember they had this one game in particular that I loved. It was this one, it was like a stick fighting game where basically, I mean, it's what it sounds like, right? Like, you were a bunch of stick figures, except it wasn't just like cheaply looking stick figures, you know, like a black and white game. No, they were all like colored, and like, it's really hard to explain the game, and I don't think I could even find gameplay of it online to show you guys. And again, I don't even know if the site's still around, but it was so epic. You could do these crazy combos. There was one character that was like a brawler. There was one that had like swords, and then there was like another one that I forget what the other one had, but then there was like these crazy super moves you could do, and there was like, I remember there was even some like blood in the game or something like that, but it was insane. It was one of those games that would genuinely destroy your keyboard, though. You'd be sitting there mashing the keys, trying to, you know, rip off the combos. There was also like other games they had on there. Like, there was this oh man, what was it called? It was like Zed or Zen something. I think it was like Zed Survival something. I don't remember, but it was like this tower defense game where it took place in first person, except it was like tower defense and you couldn't move. It was just in first person. You'd aim and shoot at the zombies as they were coming, and it would go, and like each night that you survived, it would get like gradually harder as the days would go on. So obviously you need to buy better weapons, buy better upgrades for your weapons, buy better scopes and, you know, silencers, or, you know, mag upgrades or whatever. And that was another one that was so much fun. There were so many great games on that website. Cool Math Games is obviously like an all-time classic, except I never really played that one at home. I only ever played that one in school whenever, you know, the teacher would be like, oh, you finish your test first? Okay, you can get on Cool Math Games. So I remember there was many times where me and my friends would be like, dude, screw this test. Let's just blast through to play some Cool Math Games together. There was that one game that I used to always love playing. I believe it was literally just called Run. I might be wrong about that, but it was the one where you played as the little character and you needed to like run, and you'd like jump between the different walls, and as you jump between the different walls, it would literally change like the entire perspective of the camera. So it was like you'd be running down a square and you need to avoid like the holes in the floor, and to do that you'd like, you know, change walls, and it would change the camera every time you change walls. Again, I think the game was called Run, but I'm not sure, and I don't even know if Cool Math Games is still around. It better be. No, I did not get back to the strategy in time. Now it is a vermin round. Okay, you know what? That is okay. That might actually be decent for my point blank kills. I honestly have I was just about to say, I have no idea how much progress we've actually made towards this, but we just got the point blanks done, which means that now we just need to do the rare kill. I do not want to die, please, have mercy. And there it is, Tequila Sunrise. All right, so now we just need to get the 10 rapid kills 15 times. So we're looking at a round 21 exfil. With that being the case, I'm gonna go ahead and grab PhD Flopper, and then I'm also dead bit. I don't think I really need anything else. We'll just grab PhDs, and we got the quicker slide speeds. Get the 10 rapid kills 15 times, and we'll be out of here. Oh yes, we have our first abomination. I remember this one other browser game. I only ever got to play it a handful of times because it wasn't out for that long, but it was this Lego Star Wars game, which obviously, dude, growing up with like the PS2 and my Nintendo DS, oh yeah, man, Lego Star Wars, The Complete Saga, oh baby. I've always just been a huge Star Wars fan too. Like growing up, I used to watch the movies all the time, both the original trilogy as well as the prequels, which, you know, the prequels were actually coming out like while I was growing up, so I just have a lot of nostalgia for those two, because I remember when like Revenge of the Sith went into theaters, and I remember in like 2012 they brought back the Phantom Menace and released it in 3D, and I was so excited because I thought they were about to re-release like all the Star Wars movies in theaters in 3D. At least I thought that was the original plan, but unfortunately, that never ended up happening. They only did the Phantom Menace, and then they just kind of stopped there, but I remember going to see that. It was me and my cousin, and yeah, that was so cool seeing it in 3D, seeing them do all the crazy flips, and then obviously that final iconic battle between Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Darth Maul. You guys know that exact thing. Star Wars is like one of my main things, you know what I mean? Like, along with anime, superheroes, just video games in general, Call of Duty, everything, like Star Wars is also right up there, man. Let me tell you something. Every time that I rewatch the Star Wars movies, I still cry at the end of Revenge of the Sith because it is genuinely tragic watching Anakin's fall to the dark side because, you know, you see him as a kid in, you know, The Phantom Menace and he's like, you know, I want to be a Jedi, you know, he's like this cute little kid, and then you like, you know, start to see some of the cracks in Attack of the Clones, and then finally in Revenge of the Sith, it's just that final fall to the dark side just because he's like so afraid of losing Padme and everything like that, and it's just, again, it's so sad when you just watch that transition from him being that cute little innocent kid, just like, yeah, I want to be a Jedi, you know, whatever, and then just burn it at the end, man. Like, as soon as the lava catches him and he starts burning and screaming, like, you know, when Obi-Wan, like, does that thing where, like, kind of, like, flinches, like, he doesn't even want to look at him, as, it's just, like, you feel that. You're my brother, Anakin. I loved you. Like, oh, it works. And straight up, the older you get, the more you listen to Yoda, the more you realize, like, dude, that dude is spitting facts. I also love in Empire when Luke first goes to train and he first finds Yoda, and Yoda is just, like, straight up messing with him. Like, obviously, you know, like, and most other times that you see Yoda in Star Wars, he's being, like, generally pretty serious, especially in, like, the prequel trilogy. But no, dude, when Luke first finds him, he's being a complete goofball, and I always love watching that. Also, I'm gonna say it, I don't care what anybody else says, I thoroughly enjoy the sequel trilogy, and not to mention the fact that there's some genuinely great action scenes throughout the sequel trilogy. Like in The Last Jedi, for example, when Kylo and Rey are in the throne room, like, oh my gosh, dude, that's a genuinely sick action piece. There it is, Mr. Gold Camo. Alright, well, we're all done with this weapon now, so, let's go ahead and set up the sentry guns, just try to clear out the next couple up. If I can set it down, maybe I'll set it over here, the quarter, just, yeah, there we go. And as I was mentioning before when I first started talking about Star Wars, obviously I'm a huge superhero fan too. The first superhero movie I ever watched was Batman '89. Obviously that one came out about a decade before my time, but still, it was like the first one I ever watched, followed by the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. I remember I actually saw like a short snippet or clip of Batman '89 before I actually watched the entire thing, and it was like the final confrontation between like Batman and Joker. He's like, you wouldn't punch a guy with glasses, would you? Batman just socks him in the face. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What? Oh, it's just something I say to all my prey. I just like the sound of it. Whoop-bang! Yeah, Compact 92 Mastery, just got the gold medal for that one, which means I should be pretty close to getting them. Yeah, that's right. After I do the Tanto 22 and the PP919, we'll be right there. I'll have the diamond badge for the SMGs, which is pretty cool. And for anyone curious, I will be getting the Krig C and the SOG Nebula at some point. I'm waiting until the very end. I'm doing it in order first, so I'm gonna go through, get all 33 of the base weapons, melees, launchers, everything like that. I'm gonna get all of those weapons done in the game first, and then I'll go back and sort of do it in order. Like, I'll do the, you know, the 2 weapons that launch with Season 1, those being the Krig C and the SOG, and then I'll do the Power Drill since that came out with the first season, or with the first event, and then I'll do the Siren, or Siren, however you're supposed to say that, 9mm, since we'll be getting that a little bit later on once the community completes the, like, 40 billion kills in total, I think it's 40 billion. And then after Batman '89, yeah, the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man one, the one from 2002, that was the second superhero movie that I watched. Then, you know, as the Spider-Man movies came out, I watched them. Spider-Man 2 in 2004, and then Spider-Man 3 in 2007. Spider-Man 3 is another one of those movies where I don't care what anybody says, I've always thoroughly enjoyed that one too. I know people have come around to it in recent years, but I know for a while though, like, the general consensus was that it was like the worst of the original Tobey Maguire trilogy, but for me, I don't see any of them as, like, being better or worse than the others. I just love all of them for their own reasons, because genuinely, like, all of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies feel so unique with, like, their own message to them, and they just have, like, their own vibe. Like, the first one feels, it totally feels like something from the early 2000s, you know what I mean? It has those slightly, I don't want to say cheesy, but you know what I mean, like those early 2000s vibes, where I was like, you know, Spider-Man 2 feels like a bit more cinematic and grounded, and then, like, the Spider-Man 3, it still has those Spider-Man 2 vibes, but then it also just, like, builds upon it, has its own story, has its own characters and villains and everything like that, and I love all of them for their own reasons. I also really enjoy the Amazing Spider-Man movies, the ones with Andrew Garfield. I've always loved the first one, and same thing with the second one. Dude, there were so many great action pieces in the second one as well. Then obviously the Tom Holland movies are great so far, especially with, like, No Way Home. Oh my goodness, man. Seeing the original Spider-Man come back was just insane. Not just seeing them come back, but also, like, all of them being together at once on the same screen. Like, it's Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, 2 of my childhood heroes right there, especially, like, Tobey Maguire. By the time the Andrew Garfield movies came out, obviously I was a bit older, but still, you know, like, it just, for my younger years, you know, one of my heroes right there. Then Tom Holland, just, and he's an Amazing Spider-Man as well. Just seeing them all together on screen, it was so cool, and I can't wait to see where they take things in the next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 4, because With the way the third one ended, man, it's hard to say where things will go, but I'm really excited to see what they do. But anyways, there it is. We have Mystic Gold on yet another weapon over here in Zombies, which means we are one more closer to getting, being able to work on the Opal camos. So, gonna work on these today. By the time you guys see me again tomorrow, I'll probably have both of these done, and I'll be on to working on one of the other categories. I already have both of these shotguns almost close to done, so that'll be pretty easy. I haven't even touched the LMGs yet. I get there when I get there. Marksman rifles, 2 of these will be fun, 2 of these will suck. The ones that'll suck are the ones that semi-auto. Not because the weapons are bad, but just because it'll probably hurt my finger a little bit. The ones that are burst, at least, you're able to just hold down the trigger, and it'll just keep shooting, so that's nice. Snipers, the LR 7.62 is going to take some time since, again, the whole explosive thing. But as for the LW3A1 Frostline and the SVD is semi-auto, so if I put a red dot on it, that'll be fine. As for the LW3, I'll just have to relax and have some fun with it. And then as for the pistols, I don't know. For all these other categories, we'll just see how they go. When I try to use the Grekova and Zombies, it seemed a little weak. We'll see how the other pistols are. Launchers, if I grab PhD, that ought to be fun. And then melees, well, they're melees. Again, I'm going to do them sort of intermittently as I do the other weapons. But I think they'll still be some fun. Especially if I put on, like, Melee Macchiato. I think they'll be a fun time. But anyway, as always, massive shout out to all the Patrons and channel members singing all the low ball tier. And even big shout out to the big ball tier, Belasking, and Big Daddy Manny, and the big shout out to all G tier, Run Events, and the Cheese Girl. Thank you guys so much. You guys are literal legends. I love you. Good on you, Ducky, arigato gozaimasu. Have an amazing day. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.